Yeah. This is Matt for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight. So we're here with Ben Shalom for the second time as they're an audio failure, first time around. Ben, just quickly, we've seen them do their open workouts, they're all done and dusted. How excited are you about this card on Saturday night? It's a cracker one to start 2023.
Yeah, I think for me it's the biggest one we put on from top to bottom. In front of a sold-out Manchester Arena, it's going to be electric. There's so many stories, there's so many fights on there. But yeah, the big one, Eubank Smith, I think it's warming up. I think everyone in the industry knows how big this fight is. I think a lot of people think Liam Smith is just too good a boxer for Eubank. A lot of people think that Eubank can't fight in the same way that he used to be able to. So massive fight, massive night. It's what you do it for.
It's a genuine 50-50. I know Liam Smith's moving up in weight, but he's got that pedigree, former world champion, being in with Canelo, Jaime Munguia, and Chris Eubank, obviously. He's had his moments in the sport and been in there with the likes of a George Groves, Billy Joe Saunders, got good wins on his record as well. Where does the loser go? We know where the winner goes, depending on if it's Liam. I think there's a rematch. But what happens if Liam's on the bad end of it? What happens?
I do think the loser's in trouble a little bit, and I don't like saying that in boxing because I want fighters to want to be able to lose and come back. But because he's 33 and 34-year-old, and because Eubank Jr wants those big names and wants to become a world champion, there's a lot to lose, and I think they both know that. I think that's why Chris maybe didn't want the fight in the first place. I think Liam Smith's achieved a lot in the sport, become a world champion, achieved his dreams, fought Canelo, done a lot that Chris would have liked to do. And so this was a fight that he said when I first met him, look, get me the Eubank fight and I'll sign with you. And that's his wish. This fight has happened because of Liam Smith. This fight has happened because he believes this is made for him, this fight. And what gives me confidence is the fact that is his experience, is the fact he's been in there with Canelo, is the fact that he's had all these years sparring Callum Smith. He knows exactly what to expect on Saturday night. There's going to be no surprises, and he's ready.
Another terrific fight on the card, British title fight, Essuman-Kongo, coming off two very good victories, Darren Tetley, Samuel Antwer, against Chris Kongo, who's now working with Ben Davison. That's a complete pick 'em, isn't it?
It is, but I have to back my man Chris in that, because when Essuman fought Antwer, I was sat there and I just felt if Antwer was a little more sharp, was a little more ruthless, was a little more switched on, he could have won that fight. I think Echo is an amazing athlete, but I think Chris is going to show his quality. But it is one of those fights that you're in boxing for. It's a special fight. It's one that people didn't see coming. It's one, again, I think it's tough to lose that fight. Echo, I think he's 33, might be wrong, 33.
I think 32,
33. I think Chris has had that loss to McKinson now. He wants to show he's towards world level. He's got to be beating guys like Echo Essuman. No disrespect, and it's a hell of a fight.
Joseph Parker, it's sort of a fight we didn't expect. Jack Massey jumping up to heavyweight for the first time, IBO cruiserweight title. I know you put the fight together, but do you fear for Jack a little bit if Joe's performances are sort of how they were the last few fights? I know he got beat in the last fight, but Joe Joyce is an absolute beast, isn't it?
He is. I think if I'm honest, I think Joseph Parker fought a different fight than he wanted to. He was ill that week, and he won't say it himself, but he had to fight a different fight because he didn't have the energy levels that he wanted. I think, look, Jack Massey's been pushing us for opportunities, and at heavyweight. And when we come into his hometown, and Joseph Parker's looking for a fight, and yes, we could have gone for a Carlos Takam, a Kevin Johnson, an older heavyweight to give Joseph that fight back. Jack Massey wanted this fight, begged for this fight, and he gets a huge payday, huge opportunity in Manchester, and I'd rather watch it than a standard comeback fight for Joseph Parker. I think he's got everything to gain and nothing to lose. He's a strong boy. His only loss against Richard Riakpo could have gone either way, and I think he wanted to step up to heavyweight. So I think it's a good move for Jack, and obviously it's everyone's dream when you're from Manchester to fight in front of a sold-out Manchester Arena on a box office card against a top 10 heavyweight. Fair play.
Absolutely. Speaking of Jacks, you've made the rematch between Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall. How pleased are you personally to get this over the line? We know how vocal you were after the fight about the result, and you said, look, something has to be done about this. He ain't fighting for undisputed, but he's fighting for a world title. How pleased are you to deliver for Jack and to make this fight in Glasgow?
We've been trying for 12 months. It's one that had to happen for British boxing, for Jack, that was all we were working on. You know, after that night, the only solution was a rematch. Josh has taken time out, he got married, he changed trainer, that takes a lot. But fair play to him, he could have run off, he could have gone and taken big money fights, he could have gone and done something else, but he wanted to correct what happened. He wanted to, for him, show that he's the better man.
Yeah.
But Jack gets his chance again, and I think that's the least he deserved after what happened. You know, a lot of people believe he should be unified champion right now, and he's not. But we're going to get a huge rematch. I think it's going to be a defining moment in British boxing after what happened, and it had to happen.
Yeah, it could be fireworks. Right, just quickly, because I know you're pressed for time. Last year, you as a promoter sort of made a point of saying, look, we will work with anyone as long as it's right for our fighter. You were on the table with Frank Warren. I know you had Baumgardner come over on the card, and you're persistent in your sort of stance on saying, look, let's work together. And boxing now, and a lot of people's opinion, when we see this crossover boxing as well, we need the big fights to get made. How much is that on the forefront of your mind leading into this year that, look, we all work together, we get the fights made?
It's a shambles what's going on in the US at the moment with the fights not being made. That's the last thing we want. I think Britain's a little bit better, but I think there's enough warning signs now to boxing that it better get its act together and start working together, because it's embarrassing that certain fights don't get made. Obviously, last year we're building our stable, so it sometimes makes fights hard to make, it makes cards hard to fill. Now we don't have any excuses this year. This is going to be, last year was unbelievable. Some huge nights off a standing start. This year's going to be better, but yeah, promoters have to work together. Networks have to work together. DAZN obviously taking the rights. It's the only way the big fights...
in the US. Yeah.
In the US, it's the only way the big fights happen, and I think it's not now just a thing that should be said. It's actually necessary to save the sport. I genuinely believe that, and it's so frustrating. And yeah, I think the US is in a worse place than the UK, because I think the big fights in the UK do get made, more generally. But yeah, it's a massive passion of ours.
Right, well, fingers crossed we can get that done. Look, Ben, appreciate you talking to Boxing Social for the second time today. I wish you all, I know you've got to get off, so we'll catch up later in the week.
Top man, cheers, mate.